Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you what it is today on Gunner's Profiles. Another real story, some more real speak, some language, some speakage, some talk, homes, some of that real shit, some of that ill shit. What it isn't is added preservatives and fakery and funnery. Now, as you can tell by that thumbnail, perro chatos, right? Bulldogs. And one of them that's probably recognizable nowadays, he's a youngster in the game, he's a rapper. Is he a clapper? I don't know. Can't call it like an alcoholic. If he was, I wouldn't say it, right? Faith 300. I listen to his music. You know, everyone automatically thinks in a menudo style and direct fashion, when you think about Chicano music, when you think about Chicano rap, it's all about Norte and Sur, right? You say you got Northern California rappers like Big Tone and then you got, GB and you got Rico Too Smooth and Acito and Young Iggs and things of that nature, right? And then down south, of course, you got Grifo, Swifty Blue, Dopey, Lil Weirdo. The list could go on and on and on and on. And everyone considers this the gist of Chicano rap, north and south. But there are also other Chicano rappers or Mexicano rappers, from like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Latino flavor all the way back from New York, Chicago, Detroit, and of course in Fresno, in the Central Valley, you also have Chicano rappers like Faith 300 and several others, that are rapping out of Fresno. Now, are they in a box? Are they confined? Because, of course, when it comes to Chicano music, you hear North and South and the Bulldogs ain't going to get much play unless it's in the city of Fresno. I myself, I like music, ese. So I'm going to keep it real, right? I listen to a little bit of everyone. And when Faith 300 was brought to my plate, hey, trip out on this. Don't put a CD in. Don't tell no one, but listen to it, right? The was bad, homes. I like his music. For a youngster, he's got the flow. He's got it down. He's doing his thing. He reminds me of a Sacramento rapper. He reminds me of a young Bizz or a Slow Beard thing. People that were rapping out of Sacramento, they got their own style, their own flavor, their own stilo. And I like it. I like it. I'm more of a 90s guy. Throw some Too Short, some Cube in that motherfucker, sugar free. Hey, and I'd rather give you my bitch, right? Throw me some of that on there, some of that old school Doja click, and I'm good. Brother Lynch Hung, vámonos, right? Let's go do something. But when it comes to these new rappers, I support them. I support the brown rappers, the black rappers. Sprinkle in the woods, brother, because there are some. Orderly Eminem, right? I like rap, period. Hip hop. I'm more of an old school guy, Earth, Wind, and Fire, can function. You feel me? But at the end of the day, I will fuck with this new school rap because I'm here to support the youngsters and their endeavors and what they're doing, man. Ain't nothing wrong with them trying to get that little bag. Faith 300 has stood on rotation in my carro, meaning I bump his music a lot. And I get a lot of flack from it. When I'm around my primos that are Southsiders or Norteños, hey, why you bumping that fucking perro chato, homes? Why you listening to that bulldog, right? It's not about the gang aspect of it. It's not about where they're from, homes. It's about how they're lyrically gifted, the beat, the flow, the vibe. That's all it's about to me. See, back in the days, I'd have been like, what's this? Bulldog sauce, right? I threw that motherfucker out as quick as I could, right? I wouldn't even try to hear it, But then again, I was bumping some fucking Mr. Nightmare and some Night Owl and all that. So, I can't call it like an alcoholic. Maybe I would have bumped it. But anyways, as I started listening to this guy, I started to see who he was, and he was your typical, what I considered a young buck in the game now, tighter pants, funny shirts, funny haircuts, right? And I started to become biased just based on that. Like, it should have been all about his music and not about the way his fucking hair wiggled. But at the same time, hey, I'm stuck in my old ways. I'm fucking Pendletons, bands, and 501 down, right? But I started to listen to his music more extensively, and I said, you know what, I could rock with this Faith 300 guy. It doesn't matter, how he dresses, how he looks. I can't knock the next man in the future. I can't knock how it is nowadays. Orderly, we're in a matrix, right? I can't knock anything about this guy. And then I was getting at one of my homeboys, a perro chato. Old school, we've been knowing each other for 30-something years, so we're chopping it up, and he was like, hey, you heard of that rapper Faith 300? I said, yeah, I bump that vato all the time. Right, what's up with him? Is he all bad or what? Let me know. So I'll throw his shit out right now. He said, nah, Charlie, Holmes. He said, that's the homeboy's son. I said, the homeboy's son? Which homie? He said, the homeboy, remember from College Street that we did time in YA with? I said, Spence on la tira. It was like an epiphany. You know what I mean? It was at that exact moment I knew that Vato looked familiar. I said, damn, bro, that's the reincarnation of his dad right there, right? So let me tell you a little bit about his dad. Let me tell you a little bit about how real and righteous, you know, of a perro, of a bulldog that this guy was. When I first got to the California Youth Authority, I've told you the story about meeting bulldogs, and they were norteños at that time. Now, this Vato, Faith 300's dad, was one of the first perro chatos I met. One of the first Vatos out of Fresno, really rocking that bulldog. I remember he had a bulldog tattooed on his hand. He had 1 dot and 4 dots. I remember I was pissed because I wanted to get that shit. And he came out the cell with it. I was like, Spencer, homie, that was my thing, right? But he did it first, so I couldn't copy, right? So I just busted a 14 over my eye. Back in them days, we used to rock eye busters basically so that people knew exactly where we were coming from or where the target was at. Fuck it. If you're going to get us, Holmes, get us from the front, not from the back. That's it. So anyways, and that's how everybody was rocking it. It just wasn't a Norte or Bulldog thing. It was a Sul thing too. They were getting treses all over their face. And it was just basically to let everybody know, Holmes, you were proud of where you were from, where your stance was strong. And let's just do it moving and grooving in that fashion, right? So anyways, this Vato, I had a lot of respect for him. He was a very quiet individual, but his voice was heard, right? And what I say that to say this, he was one of those guys that you looked at him and he didn't look like he posed much of a threat, but at the same time, Holmes, those quiet ones are the ones you always have to worry about. Those are the ones that'll leave you leaking, right? Those are the ones that'll leave you leaking without anybody speaking. And of course, man, he was right with his dogs. He was right with his people. We actually landed on a compa called Cleveland together and Fred Sinellis. And he was a good homeboy, man. I remember he rocked real close with a Vato named Joy Boy and another homie from the north side named K9. And we were all pretty cool. That was our ranfla. That was our carro. Now, in YA, man, you're going to hear the word ranfla over and over again from anyone who's from north or south that's been in the youth authority. And your ranfla is basically your taitas, the homeboys that you kick it with. Didn't really matter where you were from. Now, a lot of ranflas, you know what I mean, they like to kick it like, you know, in specific areas. You had Orange County. Then, of course, you had like Modesto or Sacra, San Fran. You know, you like to kick it with homeboys of like-mindedness, people that you grew up with. You just feel a closer kinship to them. That's fine. Finding dandy, Tulare County, you know what I mean, the Inland Empire. That's just how it was, right? SGV. But then there was a lot of ranflas, man, that were made up and comprised of just homeboys that just were cool with each other. Didn't matter where they were from, as long as they were from either that north or south. You didn't cross them fucking color lines because Sasuke, you'll get your toenails clipped, right? Straight up. You'll get your mask cracked. Now, trip out. My ranfla consisted of me, Joey Boy, Shorty, K9, and another homeboy, man, from Hayward named fucking Conejo, right? These were our fucking taitas. This was our carro. And they said we were rolling. We were rocking and rolling, right? I knew these individuals were of like-mindedness. I knew that they were quick to get off immediately. I didn't even have to hesitate or think about it. Sasuke, they didn't have to think about it. We were all on that same page. It was do or die because you don't do, right? And we were definitely doing, right? We had to make it happen for our people. And, you know, we were well respected. You know, as much as people like to hate on us and say, you vatos weren't doing nada. Spencer la tira. Guard! Were we doing something? You motherfuckers sure were. Gracias. I like that. Just stamp that. Strike that right on the floor. Like that right on. We were doing our thing. Okay? Quietly as it's kept. Or not even that quietly. Just as it's kept. And Shorty from College Street definitely was with that business. Now, I told a story in the past, man, where they got caught up in a certain situation, these bulldogs, you know, and we're going to reiterate a little bit of that story, man, just to tell you how vicious this Vato was. Now, I remember in our ranfla, man, me and Shorty didn't do too much talking with each other. It wasn't because he was playing them games, because like I said, at that point in time, he was a norteño, and it was all love. I mean, it'd be like, hey, bring a swap out. Fuck it, I got you. Hey, I only got chips. Fuck it, can I put it on there? Let's get on pinch you one handful. There, I did my part, right? And that's just how it was. Right? That's just how it was. Now, at the same time, you need to understand that he was part of the fucking carro. We just didn't chop it up much. You know, he was more Fresno orientated. He only wanted to kind of be around those that were from Fresno and people that knew really what was up. Now, I knew College Street was one of the bigger clicas of bulldogs. And I know several individuals from college. Man, shout out to my boy Brins. You already know what it is, right? One of my good homeboys. A taita of mine, a real righteous homeboy. But anyways, so fucking, we didn't have too much willing and dealing, but what I seen of him, I could say he was an upstanding individual, Holmes. He always carried himself righteously. You know, I seen him get called out several times. I seen him call out several individuals. And I always handled his business. There never was no dirt on his name. There was never no smut. You know, and a lot of individuals can't say that. A lot of people go in, especially to the California Youth Authority, and they're shook up, homes. They're scared. They got butterflies in their stomach. They got, you know what I mean, plates to lotion in the basket. They got moss running around in their shit. They're scared. You know, they're young kids, man, and you're thrown into a lion's den. You're thrown into Thunderdome, and you're expected to act a certain way, man. And if you don't present yourself in a vicious fashion every fucking minute of that day, homes, any of the slightest things can get you dropped level and ridiculed. The next thing you know, homes, you'll be on the outside looking in. You'll be on the banana boat pedaling, right? And pushing. And that's just how it was. But Shorty was an upstanding individual, man, and I give him his respect. Now, eventually the Bulldogs decided to depart from the Norte, right? And I remember that exact day I was on Kennedy Hall when it happened, and I've told the story about it, how we got handed a note and flight got took, and it was just a bad situation, man, and it was an unfortunate situation. Now, a lot of the perros that were there at that particular time, man, were of the mindset that they were going to rock Norte until said otherwise, right? So, you know, I got the story a little misconstrued when I said that it was just from that day forward. There still were a lot of Bulldogs that rode the fence, homes, not in a bad way, but that we're just down for the Norte. It's hard to take something out of someone's heart, homes, that's been there for several years and that's ingrained and indoctrinated into their every being, you know. There were Bulldogs with Huelga birds on them. There were Bulldogs with Mongolians. So it was hard to let that shit go, right? Some of them were like, fuck it, homes. Let's take this shit off, homes, and put the collar on. And some weren't doing that. You know, and that's just the way it was, man. It was a different time, a different era. It was a cold era if you were a Norteño because you didn't know who to trust and they didn't know who to trust, man. It was going on both sides. It was hard for everybody. It was hard that my whole Rafla flipped on me, and it was hard, man, for them to let me go because we were good homeboys. You know, we're righteous homeboys, tattooed on each other, kick back, busted spreads every day. Next thing you know, I see them kicking with the other side like, man, so what happened, eh? What about me? I said, well, you can come over here too, Pedro. No, I can't do that. I said, Huelga, right? I was with my business, and that's just how it was. You know, you keep it righteous, man, if you're a real righteous dude. Now, anyways, Shorty decided to go with his people, as is what he should have done. And, of course, I've told the story how they got relocated to a fucking building called Taft, which was basically a lockdown unit where all the perros went at this time. And he found himself caught up in a fucking situation, right? A very vicious situation where a vato got meta-flighted up out of there, helicoptered up out of there, got stabbed several fucking times. Now, this is one of probably the biggest and most vicious stabbings that ever happened at Fresnilles. After, of course, there came where the Southsiders actually took hostages and handled their business. And, you know, that story came later. But this is real early in the game. This is 92, 93 when this shit happened. And the Bulldogs got off on one of their own. They basically removed one of their own. Now, I know a removal's a removal. I've been involved in several of them. It's no big deal. Hey, look at what you pull something on your ass and handle your business. It's an everyday thing in the prisons, right? Level 4s, level 3s, stand on up. Even sometimes on level 2s, motherfuckers will scrape you, homes, for no other reason than they're supposed to or they can. And that's normal. The normality of it is crazy. You know, it starts to become an everyday thing. It starts to become normal, right? The treacherousness, the viciousness, the things that you see in prison are commonplace. You know, you're not fazed by it anymore. A little sangre never hurt nobody. You know, just follow the yellow background. Just step over them and keep on pushing. It's chicken night? Fuck that, it's move. Is that a head over there? Fuck, right? And you just keep on pushing, indubitably. You have to get to that fucking chicken night because you're trying to take it back. And hopefully the placos don't search you. So you and your fucking celly can hit that hot pot, make a bomb-ass burrito. You already know the get down. If you've been there, you've done that, right? Anyways, chicken night. Everyone will be mad, especially the Africano brothers, man. They be hustling, man. They be in there getting that chicken. I ain't trying to be fucking prejudiced. I'm just saying on some real shit. Hey, I got 2 soups for your chicken. I got 2 soups for your chicken. They have about 6, 7 chickens stuffed down there right there by the sweat of their balls. And then the placas take it and throw it in the dirt. You can just see it. You just see a tear like this. Sad than a motherfucker, right? Real talk, right? Everybody. We've all been put in that situation. I remember one time I just looked at my cheeseburger like, bitch. No Burger King. I wasn't going to have it my way that night. I was stuck to a butt-naked sopa with a little bit of chips. The crumbs, the stale crumbs I had left. Anyways, back to Shorty. He gets involved in this incident. And everybody that was involved in that incident actually picked up some time. A lot of them went to prison. That's where we lost contact. I don't know if he ended up catching a case out of this and going to prison. The last thing I remember was him doing time on Taft and being around some real righteous individuals like Dreamer the Corco Dogs, Of course, Joey Boy, like I said, K9, Big Bubba, Danny Boy, and several others, Porky. These were good fucking vatos, man. These were vatos, even though they were enemigas, homes, and they were dangerous, and I knew that if I seen one of them, so I was scared they were going to put steel in me or I was going to have to put steel in them. I still respected the fact that they were once homeboys that rocked with me. I still respected them. You know, I never denied that. Didn't like them, but respected them. You know what I mean? Shout out to my boy Dream. I always liked you, Dreamer. You were different. Anyways, and that was that. So it's weird that years down the line, I'm bumping his son. Now, the fucking apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know, when you're from the city of Fresno, one thing that I've noticed, man, it's very family orientated. The Bulldogs are like that, homes. They're different elements and different levels to the shit, but it's all family. You know, like when you have the Vindiola family, a very well-known family, Crackers and several others, his brothers, and then their grandsons and their sons and their grandsons. I mean, it's generational. It becomes generational in Fresno. There's a lot of cities like San Jose, Salas, LA, where it's generations of shit, right? It's generations. You know, nobody wants their kid to grow up like that. You know I didn't personally. I don't want my kids to be gang members. I don't, push that on them. I try to keep my tattoos covered when I'm around my children as much as possible because I don't want them asking questions that are hard to answer. You know, I will answer their questions truthfully, but at the same time, man, I'm not ready for that shit. You know, how can I tell my kids I'm a baboso? That's it. There is no other fucking answer. It's just straight up. I made some bad choices in life. You know, I fucked up, Esther. You know what I mean? Why are you calling me Esther? I mean, Spencer, I'm flashing back, eh? You know what I mean? There's just certain ways to talk to your children, certain ways you can't. You have to be a father figure. You have to be a mother figure, whatever you may be. But you got to be real. You know, the truth shall set you free. If you tell them the truth, they'll understand. You're their parent. They love you. You know what I mean? Hopefully. Unless you got a kid that just don't respect you and then beat that ass, I say. You know what I mean? Take it back to the 80s. My mom used to fuck me up. So I didn't learn though. But I mean, it hurt. It hurt. She broke the broom over my back several times. They beat me with the big part for making her break her broom over my back. So I was like, how am I supposed to sweep now? I can't call it like an alcohol, right? I was all fucked up. Anyways, back to Shorty. Righteous dude, righteous individual, and it just boggles and blows my mind that his son now is a big-time rapper or, a local rapper, but coming up, basically taking notice in the game. He has songs with Mozzie, songs with a lot of big, well-known rappers, and looks just like his dad, man. There's no denying it. I seen it when the homeboy brought it to my attention. He was like, whose son is that we were locked up with? I said, oh, that's Shorty's kid. He said, absolutely. And it just tripped me out, to see how old I got, right? But not only to see how old I got, to see these youngsters, this new era, still kicking up dust, still doing their thing, man, still representing for what from where they're from where their foundation was set. I could definitely say, Faith 300, if you see this, man, your father is a righteous motherfucker, right? And not because he was out there fucking sticking people and doing this and doing that. He was just a good dude, man, as solid as they came. There's individuals that you could be like, Spencer Latina, give me your shoes. And then there's some individuals you're like, yeah, that motherfucker right there was the one, right? And he was one of those, man. He was a righteous dude. I know Faith 300 has gotten caught up in some of the back and forth with some of the northern rappers just because they're enemigas. Everybody's feeling some type of way, homes. It's time to be brown, homes. It's time to set that aside and let your talents tell your story, He's definitely a good rapper. I'll definitely promote it. I'll definitely fucking bump it. Just like I'll bump Northern California rap all day, every day to the motherfucking day I knock, right? And I'll definitely bump Southern California. Orale, pichi little weirdos, one of my favorites, right? Dopey too, mandatory. I said, you better check in. Or Dopey said they'll give you an 18-second beat down and he's going to count slow on that ass. They ain't playing. Anyways, I just wanted to bring that to people's attention and tell that little story, man, about how this young rapper, man, who's aspiring and coming up in the game, comes from good stock. His father, I did time with them. He was a righteous dude. Along the lines, I don't know what happened if he went to the Pinta. I'm sure he did. Most of us did. I remember one time this fucking guy came to talk to us and he said, hey, there's 73 people on this compa. 72 of you guys, 71 of you guys are going to go to prison. One of you guys is going to make it. One of you guys is going to die. You know what I mean? Look around. I said, fuck that, I'm going to prison, right? I didn't even consider myself doing good, man. I already knew where I was going and where I was headed, and that's just the way it was. Fill it up with unleaded. It's unfortunate, man, to even think that way. Now I think much differently, and I hope no one has to go through some of the things and the hardships and the struggles I went through. But hey, man, to each man their own. I'm not here to poison an individual. I'm just here to say, Spencer on la tira. Handle your business, Holmes. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the struggle and strife for your familia, man. As you see, that Valto raised a good son. You know, yeah, I'm not gonna say because he's in the game and he's a gang member and this and that he's not a good kid, man. I don't know, you know, but I know that Shorty Holmes, from everything that I know about him when we were just kids, man, was a good dude, man. And I commend him on what he's done in life, you know. Respects my brother, you know. The shit don't stop, homie. The shit never stops. You already know what it is. If you like this, please hit that like and subscribe with a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears this motherfucking Bulls crown. Shout out some respects to all the real ones, everyone that I did time with, homes, that are well deserving. And for those of you that are not, fuck you. I said straight up. Bang, bang. This is the gun. And in that fashion. Orderly Shorty.